Hi everyone, here we are doing another Dominican cooking tutorial, and this one is for stewed chicken. These are the ingredients and I've put them in the description as well. We're going to start off with a little prep work by peeling our garlic, dicing our onions, our sweet pepper, as well as our cilantro. We're going to be putting this in a mortar and pestle. You can also use a blender. I just prefer the traditional style of using the mortar and pestle. Now that we have our veggies prepped, we're going to go ahead and put these in the mortar and pestle. Mine is really small, so I will have to do two separate batches, but I'm just doing them exactly the same of adding some of the onions, sweet peppers, adding in the garlic, some of the cilantro, and we're going to be putting some of this adobo powder by Goya, which I've linked below, and 1 capful of vinegar. We're going to be using the mortar and pestle for about 60 to 80 seconds on each batch, and this will be the base seasoning for our chicken. This Dominican stewed chicken goes really great with white rice, a salad, even some fried plantains if you like them. Now that we finished the first batch, this is the consistency you're looking for, and we're just going to take it out, save it in a bowl for later, and then we're going to make the second batch exactly the same. In the Dominican, we typically in this process also add in chicken tomato bouillon. I just don't do that for dietary reason, but I'll link it below as well. This is the finished product for our seasoning base, and now we're going to go ahead and start on the chicken. We want to start with a pot on medium heat and add a generous amount of olive oil. I also like to add 1 tablespoon of brown sugar or raw sugar, and this is really going to help caramelize and brown the outside of the chicken before we start making our sauce. Just gives it that little extra flavor. We're going to add in our seasoning base now, and we're going to cook this continuing on medium heat for about 1 to 2 minutes before adding in the meat. And that's just to get the flavors a little more cooked and mixed in before adding in the chicken. Now that it's been about 2 minutes, we're adding in this chicken, and I use chicken thighs, but you can use whatever part of the chicken that you prefer. I just had that on hand. Once we get all the meat in the pot, we're going to go ahead and season the chicken with some oregano. I like powdered, but you may use any brand that you prefer. And then we're also going to be using, again, that seasoning that I mentioned earlier, which is the Adobo by Goya. And this brand is also linked below. We want to use a pretty generous amount of this since we do have about 2.5 pounds of chicken in here. At this point, I'm also going to add in just a little bit of plain salt. That seems to really help balance out all of the flavors with the adobo and the oregano. Not too much, just a little bit on top. And then we're going to let this meat cook over medium heat without adding any water or other ingredients for 5 minutes. Now that it's been cooking for about 5 minutes is the consistency that you want, and we're going to add in 2 heaping tablespoons of tomato paste. We're going to mix it around a little bit and continue to cook on medium heat without adding any water with just the tomato paste so it can kind of really get into the chicken and get some flavor in there. This is the consistency it's made on its own by cooking in just the tomato paste for about 5 minutes. This is great. This is what we want. You have some natural oil in there. And now we're going to add in about 1 full cup of water. And then we're going to turn the heat up to high and we're going to cover it. Don't mess with it for 10 full minutes. Don't take off the lid. It will create a lot more liquid, but this is going to make you have really tender and flavorful meat. Now that it's been 10 minutes, I'm just taking off the lid to check. The meat is exactly how we want it. As you can tell, it has already created a lot more liquid, but this is perfect. We're now going to turn the heat back down to medium, and we're going to be stewing it the rest of the time with the lid off on medium, just until it gets a more thicker sauce. This is about 5 minutes later on medium heat, and as you can tell, it's already thickening up quite a bit, which is great. That's exactly what we want, and we're going to continue to cook again for another 5 minutes at this heat level. It's now been an additional 5 minutes, and most of the liquid is gone. At this point, your meat is actually ready to eat. This is how I prefer to eat mine, but if other people like to have more sauce to put on your rice, I recommend now adding 1/3 of a cup of water, and we're going to continue to cook it for about 3 minutes just so the flavors can get back together and it can get to a boil again. It's now been boiling for about 1.5 minutes. It's been about 3 minutes since I added in the water, and your chicken is actually done. Now you're ready to plate your meal, eat it with rice, and enjoy your Dominican pollo guisado.